Very bleak day here indeed. The splendid dressing room attendant here at Anfield said it was so cold the players wanted to stay in the dressing room and watch the game on television. Well, that's a little bit of Merseyside humour, but they're on the pitch, and these are the teams, in fact. Liverpool then with Bruce Grobbelaar in goal, a back four that includes Gary Gillespie in for the injured Mark Lawrenson. In midfield there was also a doubt about John Walk, injured in training, but he tells me he didn't train at all on Friday, but yesterday was quite okay. He's fit. And then up front, that devastating duo of Kenny Dalglish and, of course, Ian Rush. As for Spurs, Ray Clements should know the place well enough. He had 14 seasons here. A back four where I think it's fair to expect that Graham Roberts will again be the powerhouse in defence. A midfield, I think Spurs are delighted that Glenn Hoddle is back in form again. We expect to see Chidozie and Galvin flying down the flanks. And then up front, there was just the slightest doubt, it seems, about Mark Falco's fitness after scoring the second goal at Charlton on Wednesday. But when he arrived here today, Peter Shreves, the Spurs manager, quickly knocked that one on the head. Referee Keith Hackett, who I must say adopted a very positive attitude about these conditions from the moment he arrived here. A quick word from Ron Atkinson. Ron?
Yes, I think if that snow doesn't affect Liverpool's rhythm and passing pattern of play, I have a feeling they'll just about sneak it today. It's going to be a very, very hard one for them now.
Kenny Dalglish, who in fact didn't play in the two games this season when Liverpool have played at Tottenham, were beaten. Phil Neal, Liverpool then in their famous red strip, attacking the goal to the right. A goal kick. Ray Clements, in fact, he's been back here 3 times since he joined Spurs from Liverpool. Each time he's had 3 goals planted past him, he tells me. But he got a great reception from the Kop, and it's fantastic to see that huge crowd behind that Tottenham goal. Having driven in here this morning in the most devastating conditions, it's a tribute to these clubs and to the game as well that so many people have turned up. It's quite soft underfoot as well, thanks to that under-soil heating they have here at Anfield, some 21 miles of piping. Now, let's remember, Spurs haven't won here then since 1912. The first slight problem of the day is the ball pressure, and Keith Hackett, I think, prepared for it to go on, but looking maybe for a substitute ball in a moment. Well, it's Chris Hughton with Tottenham's throw. Roberts. Gillespie just getting the header in. Nice control there. As you can see, the ball is moving quite sweetly on this turf. There shouldn't be any problem at all. And the snow that's left there now, I'm sure as the players get moving on it, will bit by bit disappear, and the forecast is that it will get a lot milder as the afternoon progresses. Here's Chidozie. Nicol. And now Phil Neal. Back to Bruce Grobbelaar. Phil Neal, 34 next month, over 800 games for Liverpool and Northampton Town. Dalglish under this one, but beaten by Roberts in the air. Comes through for Walk. Free kick to Tottenham. As I say, it's 1912 since Spurs last won here, and that was by 2-1. And look at that, 42 games played since then, and they haven't won one of them. But here's Galvin seeking to put that record to rights, but stopped on that occasion well by Gary Gillespie. Tottenham's throw. Gillespie in for Lawrenson, of course. Galvin, who scored that superb goal against Charlton on Wednesday night. He is. And of course coming in towards Falco. And Gillespie again getting it away. Perryman being pursued by Dalglish. Liverpool throw. Ron Atkinson?
Yes, Spurs have come out in a very, very open and positive manner. They've pushed 4 players straight up front. They've decided, by the look of it, to play quite open in midfield with Hoddle and Stevens in there. I'm just wondering whether that'll give them a few problems. John Walk is in particularly good form for Liverpool at the moment. and it doesn't look as if Spurs have got a natural marker in the middle of the field, someone that can pick up his attacking runs.
Yeah. Ball did hold up just a little bit there for him under pressure from Walk. Perryman getting it away off Dalglish. Should be a Tottenham throw. 3 goals this season for Kenny Dalglish. Huddle. Dalglish. Oh, good little run by Dalglish. Played in there towards Steve Nicol. Gillespie playing it forward again. Easy for Clements. Well, players of great skill won't worry about these conditions. Perryman very, very dogged and determined, and Huddle with the long ball forward, but it's too long. Newton. It comes straight to Walk, and here's Steve Nicol. This is Galvin. Stopped by Kevin MacDonald, and the referee quick to pounce and say, cut that out. As Galvin tried almost to a rugby tackle there on MacDonald. Allowed the game to go on with Liverpool in possession, but Huddle cutting out that pass from Neil. It's a good, strong atmosphere here, Ron.
Yeah, it's terrific. Both sets of supporters are seeming good voice. I would think Liverpool have possibly singled out Galvin as a danger man, and I think you'll see an awful lot of back tackling by Steve Nicol upon him. Nicol helping out Phil Neal an awful lot.
A free kick to Tottenham, which Graham Roberts will take. In towards Gary Stevens, getting his header in. He might come for Crooks, and Grobbelaar grabbing it as Garth Crooks came in, and Crooks took a little knock there as he sought to finish off that move. And Grobbelaar in a bit of trouble too. And Roberts' free kick. A good header here, I think, by Stevens. Falco was in there too, a little touch by him. And a grab by Grobbelaar.
It was a close one for them, wasn't it, Brian? I thought at one stage of that Garth Crooks possibly looked a shade on favourite.
And Grobbelaar in a lot of pain there. He's been having a very good run for Liverpool. 5 clean sheets in the last 8 games. Well, Crooks is okay, and he's certainly been having a good run for Tottenham with 7 goals in the last 8. It's the left knee that's the real problem, by the look of it, just above it. It's like 7 minutes gone of a very important cup tie. The last man you want to lose is your keeper, but Grobbelaar is okay to go on. He's well enough, in fact, to take the kick. But not very well. MacDonald. Walk touching it on. Dalglish after it again. Roberts is there. Firmly back to his keeper. Falco under this one. It's Gillespie. Oh, just possessed by Garth Crooks. But there's Kennedy. Brought down by Chidozie. Free kick.
Yes, I think you saw an incident there how the conditions played a part. The Liverpool centre-backs always like to get on the ball and play. And I think at times that's going to cause them a few problems. The ball's sticking and they can't get the right weight on their passing.
Hansen with the kick. Houghton's header, but only as far as Nicol. Liverpool's throw. Certainly Falk now playing it on, Nicol playing it in, Rush couldn't get there, and in the end Stevens getting it away. And now Chidozie. Now has he got the pace? Whelan made great strides to get back there, but Chidozie has gone past him. And Falco couldn't meet it with the head. MacDonald with a chance of getting it away. Oh, what a bad ball. Straight to Perryman. Huddle with a back pass. Oh, well, Spurs claiming a penalty there with Perryman brought down. It certainly did look like it.
Very much so from here, Brian. The referee was right on the spot, but he definitely looks as if he was pulled down.
The back heel from Huddle. Well,
I think a few hearts might have fluttered. I've got to be fair, I think the referee, although he's in a good position, in my book, I think he's made an error.
The first bit of controversy in what should be an epic cup tie, and still Bruce Grobbelaar can't get his kicking right. I must say from the gantry here, that looked a surefire penalty. But Keith Hackett was, I have to say, a good few yards closer to the incident than I was.
I think you also have to say that Keith Hackett is probably one of the best three referees in the game, isn't he, Brian?
And I certainly wouldn't argue with that. MacDonald against the referee. Played back for Hansen. Calmly to Neil. Oh, there's a good run by Rush. Oh, and Whelan very nearly got the shot in. It was well blocked, though, by the Spurs defence at the most critical moment. And here's Perryman. Now Huddle. Really beginning to open up now. What a ball by Huddle now. As Chidozie takes it up with Crooks in the middle. And back comes MacDonald to do a saving job. Well, Crooks and Falco had made tremendous runs into that Liverpool penalty area.
I think you've got to be terribly impressed by Tottenham's attitude. They haven't got one negative thought about them at the moment, and they're obviously, they believe that their pacey wingers, Chidozie and Galvin, can cause a lot of problems on the flanks.
Certainly Spurs, although it's been so long since they've won at Anfield, in their hearts they feel they've really had a better chance. Their form has been so good. They haven't lost in their last 10 away games. Bit of shoving there. And a free kick given Liverpool's way. The foul on Kenny Dalglish, who will take the free kick. MacDonald's gone forward, Gillespie's gone forward. Rush is in there, Nicol's in there, and Walk. And Kennedy's made a late run as well. In fact, only Alan Hansen has been left back. And over the top from Rush, and the corner, in fact, it must have brushed off the Tottenham defender. So, Liverpool's corner. Dalglish will take it. MacDonald's made a run towards the near post, and another corner. That time off Falco. Dalglish again with that corner. Played a little wider this time. And over the top. And a good effort by John Walk there. Big goal-scoring record John's got this season with 15 goals.
Yeah, that must have been a big boost for Joe Fagan this morning when he declared himself fit, because he has been scoring a fantastic amount of goals. And he also, as I was saying earlier, Brian, he looks to be in a position today where he could be the one that could exploit maybe their Tottenham's lack of numbers in midfield.
Houghton with the throw. Coming up to a quarter of an hour if you've just joined us. Liverpool 0, Tottenham 0 in this cup tie at Anfield. And as you can see, after a snowstorm this morning, the pitch not quite as we expected, but it's playing really well thanks to some tremendous efforts by the Liverpool ground staff this morning. Roberts header. Whelan, Dalglish, McDonald. Oh, the boots of Stevens was high. The free kick goes to Liverpool. Hansen with the free kick with a quarter of an hour gone, 0-0. Towards Walk, got up well. Dalglish playing it into Rush. Can he get it on the turn? Nicol had a shot charged down. All hands to the pump now in that Spurs defence. Walk getting it wide. Changing direction there from Phil Neal. Steve Nichol's in there trying to get it to the byline, but Roberts is there to stop him at the expense of another Liverpool corner. It's Phil Neal. And Perriman putting it into the cop for another corner. Phil Neal wanting, I think it's Tony Galvin back 10 yards, so that Steve Nicol can take this corner, not Kenny Dalglish. Oh, and Chidozie mistimed his jump. Unfortunate for him, it fell for Gary Stevens, and here is Chidozie. Hooks is marauding up front. Gary Stevens has made a good run as well. And a bit of shoving there by Hansen, but quite rightly, the referee has got to use his discretion on this surface and allowed Liverpool to go on and find John Walk. And now Phil Neal. And away goes Houghton. And Crooks is in the middle. Falco's come up quick as well. And that's a corner now for Tottenham.
I think Houghton will feel he should have done better there, Brian. He got himself into a lovely free space behind Phil Neal. And I think really ought to produce the ball for the strikers.
Well, it remains to be seen if Tony Galvin with a corner can provide something for the men in that penalty area now. Roberts is forward, menacing figure. Paul Miller's in there too, and Gary Stevens up from the back. Galvin's corner, a long and a deep one. And a goal kick. So Bruce Grobbelaar will take the goal kick. Talking about John Walk a moment ago, he took a little time to settle down after his move from Ipswich, but his record over the seasons, both in scoring and the number of games played, is quite exceptional.
Yeah, I think he's one of those players. He gives them something different. He's the one that runs from the middle of the park. A lot of the Liverpool midfield players, by and large, are sitting type players and passing players. He's a little bit different, where he's not too dissimilar to the way Terry McDermott used to do it.
Dalglish with the corner for Liverpool. Roberts was right in there, didn't make much ground on it though. That's going to be another corner off Chidozie.
Actually, Tottenham are pulling everyone back on corners, Brian, but the marking doesn't appear to be particularly good. There seems to be a lot of spare Liverpool players in the box.
Well, here's Dalglish with another corner. And I think it was Watt probably who got the head to that one. Okay. And you can see there Graham Roberts talking to Gary Stevens. Possibly he's not happy with the marking as well in defence.
Yeah, what they appear to be doing, they appear to be leaving 2 or 3 of the Liverpool players around the back stick areas completely unmarked, able to run in almost unchallenged.
Rush. Comes now for Rush. Clemens is out quickly! And Rush has put Liverpool ahead.
Was Rush absolutely brilliant finishing. One stage it looked as if Graham Roberts was going to take him out. I'm a bit surprised Roberts didn't go through the tackle a little bit more stronger. But all credit to Rush, marvellous piece of finishing at the end.
And there goes Rush. And as Clements comes out I think it's Perryman on the line, desperately trying to keep it out. But it's a goal for Ian Rush, and Liverpool in the lead. Here's Chidozie. Walk. Nicol. Dalglish. And Miller getting it back to Clements. Now McDonald. Miller. Playing it for Perryman. Roberts. Strong challenge there by Roberts, forcing the ball through for Houghton. And Duran doing a bit of shouting from the Liverpool bench. Galvin seeking to retrieve things now for Tottenham. Dainty footwork by Hansen, and the pass by Neil, which came to nothing, and the ball back with Grobbelaar. Well, that's a familiar sign over the years, the sight of the clock celebrating a Liverpool advantage. Dalglish on Falco. Or indeed Falco on Dalglish, because the free kick's given Liverpool's way. What exactly happened there, Ron?
I think they both just got a little bit overexcited because they're both characters that can put the foot in. In fact, they can both be a little bit nasty when it's needed.
Well, here's Chidozie. 20 minutes gone. If you've just joined, Liverpool leading Spurs by 1-0 in this FA Cup tie. Hansen. Liverpool having beaten Aston Villa in the third round, and Spurs having put out Charlton after a replay. Kennedy, the long one away. Houghton being chased by Nicol. Here's Galvin. He's gone round Neil. But he's got Walk to contend with now. Stevens. No, it wouldn't carry. And that time it was a better pass by Neil. MacDonald finding Rush. Oh, that didn't reach Whelan. It went instead to Crooks. Gillespie to do some tidying up. A massive kick there by Grobbelaar, a really big one, but Miller was underneath it. Kennedy. And back by Miller to Clements. There's no flagging whatsoever in this game. It's being played at a huge pace, and there's very little in the way of stoppages. Free kick to Liverpool. They're a funny lot, footballers. Liverpool, for all their great efficiency and their magnificent record over the last decade, they were really quite superstitious about playing this game on a Sunday. For the last two seasons, they've lost on Sundays to Brighton in the FA Cup. It was here 2 years ago when, incidentally, Gary Stevens of Spurs played for Brighton on that day, and you may remember live on ITV last season down at the Goldstone ground. So they're happy to get Ian Rush's goal under their belt. That was a terrible corner by Kenny Dalglish.
Even on that particular corner, you know, the big lad MacDonald had got himself into some lovely free space around by the penalty area. If Kenny Dalglish had knocked in a half-decent ball, then I'm sure he'd have had a strike on goal.
So what are you suggesting, that Spurs aren't quite all they should be at the back at the moment?
No, I think what Spurs are doing, they're pulling a lot of people back and surrounding their own 6-yard box and not picking up runners. They're waiting for players to go into the space as opposed to picking up tight to start with.
Here's Crooks, and now Hoddle. Perryman. Hoddle again. Dancing rather awkwardly there for Hansen, but
It was ironic that Brian Hansen volley him wildly like that, because I was just thinking, just marvelling really at his balance and composure, even in that, and he's in the worst of the pitch conditions. But he's looked as if he's been playing at Wembley.
Perryman. Linesman flagging on the far side, perhaps for an offside. A free kick for Liverpool. Coming up to 24 minutes. Liverpool leading by a goal to nil, scored by Ian Rush. Well, the copper asking if Jimmy Greaves is watching. He's in our studio behind the goal, so I hope he is. Back to Grobbelaar. Jimmy, I'm sure, will have plenty to say at half-time, even if the cop won't be able to hear it. I think probably the cop getting wind of the fact that Jimmy Greaves was suggesting that Spurs might win this one. Well, there's a long way to go yet, though. Liverpool leading by a goal to nil, and Nicol in possession for them now. Dalglish, a delightful ball, but sadly for Liverpool, Walk was fractionally offside. He is watching the profile of the famous Greavesy. It's Stevens. And now Falco trying to turn Hansen, and a free kick given to Tottenham. 25 minutes gone, Liverpool leading by a goal to nil. Now, will there be work for Grobbelaar here? Spurs contingent up here from London as Hoddle now takes this free kick with a bit of pace on it, and Stevens flying in along with Roberts, the number 4, in that 6-yard area, but couldn't get the touch that was required. It's a goal kick.
I bet Roberts is half hoping that Stevens hadn't touched that. I'm sure he almost made it himself there.
Steve Perryman, the skipper, with a magnificent record. This is 65th cup tie, FA Cup tie for Tottenham today. Well, offside again against Walk. They're moving forward with a lot of conviction, Liverpool, when they do get on the move, Ron. Free kick.
Yeah, they showed some tremendous enterprise there, and Walkie's only just been offside on a couple of occasions, making those forward runs. And it's a safe bet sometime in the game. He's going to get one that pays off for him. Whether he scores or not, I don't know, but he's going to get a situation for himself.
Gillespie's free kick. Chiosi got an offside there against Brooks. I think Phil Neal, so we've been told by a viewer, has got his shorts on back to front. That may even be another superstition. The whistle's gone. What?
Well, I thought he'd given the original free kick for Liverpool. Obviously he hadn't. I just thought Liverpool had been penalised for taking a quick free kick, but the referee's changed his decision by the look of it.
Neal with the header. Gillespie. Nicol getting a bit of length on that one. Whelan. Dalglish. And another offside. Falling into this Tottenham trap quite regularly now, are Liverpool.
It's ironic, really, because Liverpool were probably the first team to start and master the art of pushing up quickly from the back. And then
Perryman stopped well by Rush. Here's Nicol. That's a free kick.
You saw another facet of Ian Rush's play there. We seem to regard him just as a great goal scorer, but he's got all sorts of sides to his game, and that was one of them. He's very, very strong and very competitive.
Dalglish. Here's Hoddle. The long ball towards Crooks. Gillespie got in control. Neal. MacDonald. And another offside. There wasn't much in that one because Paul Miller had dropped off a little bit.
I fancy an over-generous linesman for them there, Brian. I think they'd sprung the trap then that time. Miller looked to be sort of 5 yards nearer the goal than the Liverpool players did.
It's a free kick to Tottenham with Graham Roberts, and Liverpool leading by 1-0. MacDonald. Perryman. Huddle. Pass intended for Perryman, cut out well by Kennedy. Dalglish, what a delightful header now for Walk. Dalglish is up as well, but Spurs have 4 defenders back, and Roberts was one of them. Half an hour gone. 1-0 to Liverpool. A free kick to Tottenham. Hoddle with the free kick. Towards Falco, but there were 3 Liverpool defenders there, and Gillespie used his height well. Walk didn't complete the clearance. It's with Chidozie now. This is a good run. Stopped in the end by Whelan, but Chidozie got possession again. Here's Roberts linking up. Crooks. Dalglish. Now Neal. Dalglish again, followed behind him. And away on that far side is Rush. Played inside for Whelan, and now for Dalglish. And Houghton getting a very timely challenge in once again for Tottenham. Miller the long ball now. Chidozie trying to get on the end of it. And Hansen stopped the corner. No, he can't. Hoddle will take it. Hoddle furiously getting his defence organised. Wanting Nicol to look after Falco at the near post. So Hoddle with this corner for Tottenham. Deeper one. Galvin will be able to go wide. Can he get the cross in? He can, and it's a good one! And Grobbelaar stretching, just got his fingertips to it. Chidozie turning it back once more, Roberts going in, and I think there'd been an infringement before Roberts met it with his head. But certainly a moment before that, it was a very, very important fingertip save there by Grobbelaar, just got his fingers to it. Now Dalglish, it's behind Walk, and Miller was first to react. Chidozie. So although Spurs are this goal down, they are from time to time putting Liverpool under enough pressure to suggest that the afternoon could really hold something for them. But Houghton. Crooks. He's got Falco up alongside him. But Kennedy read that beautifully.
Certainly, Brian, when Spurs get it up into wide positions, Chidozie and Galvin, they're capable of taking on the Liverpool back four. That last incident was typical of Galvin, where he hits those big, deep crosses. Very, very good keeping from Grosvenor. Just enough. The fingertip was just enough to prevent a goal.
So it's a throw to Tottenham. 11 minutes before half-time. Play on, said the referee. Played an advantage and it might turn out good for Tottenham. Chidosi taking Hoddle's pass.
Just a little bit surprised how many times Tottenham have been able to pump the ball over the head of Alan Kennedy. He's got to be thankful today for the pace of Hansen. I talked about Hansen's composure, but he's also got outstanding recovery pace as well.
Free kick to Tottenham. Hoddle with the free kick. Gary Stevens right in there. Ronnie Whelan's header away. MacDonald helping it, but only as far as Galvin. Here's Hoddle again. Can he conjure up something for Tottenham? He finds Galvin with a good ball now. Can Galvin do the rest of the work? He can, and he's done it well towards Crooks. Good jump by Walk. Roberts planting it wide for Galvin again. There's still trouble coming for Liverpool down these flanks as Houghton takes it up. Crossed in there. Grobbelaar down. Just eluded Garth Crooks.
Certainly a good period of play now for Tottenham. This is probably the best they've had since the opening 5 minutes.
And the key to that really was the way that Houghton suddenly popped up in the box. There's Roberts. A long ball forward again. Gillespie versus Garth Crooks. And the whistle had gone. And Grobbelaar kept it out in any case. Got himself tangled in the net. It'll be a free kick to Liverpool. I don't know what force is Garth Crooks, but let's see if we can find out. Well, it looks very much indeed as though Garth Crooks was pulling Gillespie all over the place. And it didn't cross the line in any case. Robertson. MacDonald. Rush. Played on. Nichols okay. Walks in the middle. And on the far side was Whelan, but it wasn't quite the cross that Liverpool required. But a splendid cup tie, Ron.
Tremendous, yeah. It's been some quality football. Glenn Hoddle hasn't been in the game an awful lot, but when he's been in it, he's produced moments of magic. Kenny Dalglish has sort of glittered and shone. He's done very, very well. Yeah, tremendous game.
Rush. Walk. Galvin. Goal kick. I don't know where we got the idea that it was going to get warmer as the afternoon went on, Ron. It's absolutely bitter now, isn't it?
Was it Ian St John that was saying the underfloor heating will thaw that ground out? It looks to have got worse. Looks more snow in it now.
Yes. It's a throw then to Liverpool. Whelan with it. Houghton's header. Hansen's playing a major part in this Liverpool defence. What a 332 games, and all of them pretty consistent, I would have thought, consistently good. Dalglish, what a lovely turn there. Can Walk get the better of Miller? No. Defended well there, Miller, because Walk was showing every signs of getting a shot in. MacDonald a little bit off balance there. Kennedy, trusty left foot. The flag stays down. Dalglish is on his way with Rush waiting in the middle. Rush with a header, back again for Dalglish. Just lining up his shots, and Houghton intervened. 6 minutes to half-time now. Ian Rush's 17th minute goal, giving Liverpool a 1-goal advantage. Free kick to Liverpool. A foul again on Alan Hansen. And in fact, Gary Gillespie in a bit of trouble here. He seemed to think it was a clash he had with Mark Falco, and he got a smack in the eye. Haven't seen anything like that since Colin Jones's brave battle with Don Curry.
He's a handful, is Falco, you know. I think people sort of tend to think of him as being just a local lad that's gone in and scored a few goals, but he did not put himself about.
Well, he's got 20 to his credit this season, Falco. And Gillespie coming off. Possibly it might just be a quick stitch and a bit of plaster, and then back into the action again. Liverpool well aware, of course, there's just 5 minutes to go to half-time, although Craig Johnston doing a bit of warming up. And Steve Nicol has quickly dropped back to right back. Phil Neal has gone into the centre of the defence as Craig Johnston does his warming up. Roberts getting above Rush.
I'm sure he'll be back on Gillespie, though, unless he's got concussion of anything. He didn't look that bad, did it? Not from up here, it didn't, anyway.
Miller dispossessed, and Clements to the rescue. Perriman's throw. Calco. Taking it out for Perriman. Down that flank again for an offside Chidozie. Free kick to Liverpool. And I think Spurs have a slight problem now, because Hoddle is holding his back and looks to be in a certain amount of pain and discomfort. Rush getting it back for Whelan. Now for Kenny Dalglish. Whelan again. And Hoddle can do nothing about it. Hoddle is in real trouble. Free kick.
Looks as if he's going to the touchline, as if he wants to come off, doesn't it? Also, he's had a bang in the back.
Hoddle is coming off, which means that Gary Mabbott, the substitute, will be on. Well, not for the moment. That's bad news for Tottenham. Already a goal down. And Mabbott doing some warming up now. Houghton. Good jump by Phil Neal. Clearance there by Kevin MacDonald. Roberts. 3 minutes to go to half-time. Liverpool 1-0 if you've just joined us in this 4th round FA Cup tie at Anfield. Roberts getting it away, but again dispossessed by Rush. And now Walk. Hit first time, no trouble. But a moment ago we had Miller dallying on the ball and being dispossessed. I think that was by Rush and then by Roberts.
I think Rushy tempts them into believing they've got plenty of time on the ball, and he's like, he strikes like a lightning, doesn't he?
Rush with a header, but nobody down that right flank. It'll be free kick. Considering he's only played about 17 league games, Rush, 12 goals. Well, that's about his usual ratio, of course. It's Whelan. Walk, nice turn. Dalglish can't get there, but it'll go spinning towards Ray Clements. Dalglish once more. Offside against Rush. Just over a minute to go to half-time. Roberts. And out of play. We haven't spoken about Kevin MacDonald, although he's done a fairly solid job there for Liverpool this afternoon.
Yeah, he just sits in front of the back two, and that really enables Walk to go on these forward runs. He just acts as an insurance man for him. He hasn't quite yet got the soonest role, but he'll give them a little bit extra in the air as well, actually.
Well, you're just seeing Gary Mavett is on, which means, of course, that Glenn Hoddle will not be reappearing. And a ball for Gary Stevens. There's some space. Just look at the space on that far side now for Chidozie. This could be trouble for Liverpool, but it's not, because Kennedy intercepted. I really couldn't believe that.
Well, I really can't believe Alan Kennedy's positional play today. He seems to be getting sucked into the play, and Chidozie's just staying wide on his shoulder. They're able to plonk balls in as easy as anything for him.
Well, it's the last seconds of the first half. It's another corner for Tottenham. John Chidozie will take it. Big men up again from the back, but Roberts couldn't get to it. Now Miller, the other big man from the back, finding it again for Chidozie. Maybe a better cross this time. Now Miller once more. And Chidozie looking to get in behind the fullback again, but there's a little too much on that one, and it's a goal kick. We're playing time added on for stoppages at the end of the first half now. Neil, Roberts in. It'll fall now for Galvin. He's got Falco and he's got Crooks up ahead of him. Alongside is Stevens. Wide on the right, need I tell you, once again is Chidozie. Stevens played in quickly. Rush, the man whose goal in the 17th minute separates these two sides in this fourth round FA Cup tie, giving Liverpool an interval lead. We shall take a short break. After that break, we shall be getting the views of Jimmy Greaves and Ian St John with Jim Rosenthal. That's immediately after the break.
Liverpool defender, Jimmy said that Liverpool might miss him while they were a goal up at half-time, and Mark's talking now to Martin Tyler.
Mark, it must be frustrating for you watching from the stand, but what were your impressions of the first half?
Well, I thought Liverpool played very, very well, Martin, and thoroughly deserved the lead. And it looks as though we could maybe have one or two more goals, the way they're playing anyway, smashing.
You must be kicking every ball with Gary Gillespie, who, of course, had that painful knock as well. What about his first half performance?
Yeah, he done smashing for us. I mean, he's a good player anyway, we all know that, but I think he's got an elbow in the face, but it looks as though he'll be OK for the second half. He's a tough lad, so he'll be all right.
What do you think Liverpool now have got to do in the second half?
Well, I think we've got to play the way we played in the first half and close Tottenham down very quickly. We seem to be nicking one or two balls. I mean, Rushy and Kenny have done great up front for us, and I think if we score a goal, maybe 10-15 minutes in the second half, we'll kill them off, and I think that's going to be our main option.
Mark, thanks very much indeed.
Thanks, Martin.
So Mark Lawrenson hoping for an early goal to kill off Spurs. Jimmy Greaves, do you still feel that they're going to do something here?
There was a typically biased Mark Lawrenson piece of commentary, wasn't it?
Well, I thought actually it was very sensible what he said.
Yeah, I thought you might. Yeah, you're happy, aren't you?
Well, I think it's a good game. Aren't you enjoying the game?
You're happy.
I mean, the jinx is still there.
The jinx is still there all over the place, yeah.
Well, Ian, carry on.
No, sorry, I was saying I think Tottenham are playing quite well. They're taking the game to Liverpool, which is of great credit to them, I feel. And I think if Chidozie really gets a little bit of faith in the fact that he can beat Kennedy down the line, which he can, then there might be a bit more danger.
Let's just take a look at the goal, and I would think that Ray Clements and probably Graham Roberts in particular, Ian, won't be too happy with what happens.
Well, you see, Liverpool have been pinching a lot of balls right throughout the afternoon, especially from Miller and Roberts. And that, again, there I thought that Roberts should have humped the ball away. But there's Ian Rush, who's brilliant at doing that, pinched it and knocked it over the goalkeeper as it came out. That was a really superb goal.
Yes.
Real piece of opportunity, Jim. You were delighted even to see that going.
I would agree with that, Ian. Actually, Graham Roberts this is the worst I've seen Graham Roberts play for Tottenham, because he's so outstanding normally.
Spurs might have felt, Jimmy, and I think that the three of us here felt they might well have had a penalty early on.
Well, I certainly did.
When
I don't know about
Stevie
Ian.
Perryman was a nice back heel from Hoddle.
Yes, it was actually. It was a very well worked move, in all honesty, and it looked to me as though Ronnie Whelan did bring Stevie Perryman down. I mean, Steve's not the one to make a light
So I'm
fuss
gonna
of
dance
things,
about it
so
now,
I would say it was a penalty. I mean, Arsenal went out
Yeah.
on worse than that yesterday.
Very quickly, Ian, are they going to miss Hoddle?
I don't really think so. Mabbutt is a good player and he's a battler, and in fact we were saying when Hoddle went off that maybe Mabbutt would do well in the second half for them. If Liverpool continue to play the way they're playing, Jim, I think they'll score. And remember, they've never lost a game when Ian Rush has scored.
I thought you might point that out.
Well, it's a little jinx, another jinx for us, you know.
Okay,
You're enjoying yourself, aren't you?
Well, the Saints leading on points at the moment. There's still all to play for here at Anfield. Just a goal in it, and we'll be back live with the whole of the second half. See you for that.
Back then to Anfield for this fourth round FA Cup tie. Liverpool leading by a goal to nil. Ian Rush, 17 minutes. The news is that Gary Gillespie, there's Ray Clements, that Gary Gillespie, who seemed to have an injured eye just before half-time, is back on the field for Liverpool. And the news from the Tottenham dressing room is that Glenn Hoddle had a kick around the kidney area, which was troubling a little bit, and that's why he's off, and Gary Mabbutt is on as the Tottenham substitute. So Spurs then will kick off the second half, attacking the goal to the right. 45 minutes to put that long jinx behind them. Remember, they haven't won here since 1912. Joe Fagan, of course, the Liverpool manager, a very down-to-earth guy. He says, well, it's you media people who keep talking about 1912. We're not worried about that. We're just worried about winning today. Roberts getting it away forcefully. Gillespie back to Bruce Krivellard. So Gillespie all right. I don't know whether he had a plaster or a stitch around the eye area, the left eye, that was the one that was troubling him. So can Steve Perryman, skipper of so many years now at Tottenham, inspire his men? Look at that, 33 years old, 740 games, 64 of them in the FA Cup. Can he inspire Spurs to a great victory here? They're a goal down. Houghton now for Tottenham. Back to Ray Clements, who's won an FA Cup winners' medal, of course, for Liverpool as well as for Tottenham. One more statistic, of course, that Spurs with Aston Villa have won the FA Cup more than any other club, 7 times. Now let's forget about the statistics and get on with the game as Gillespie looks for Rush. Chidozie filing a long way back and then finds Perryman. Good work by Chidozie, supported by Galvin, both those wing men on the same side of the field now, and the flag is up against Gary Stevens. Well, we heard at half-time, Ron, that Ian had the feeling that Liverpool could go on and go through, that Jimmy Greaves still felt that Spurs could pull this one round.
I think, I said at the start, I thought Liverpool would just shade it, but certainly Spurs, when they do come forward, they're very, very dangerous. I mean, that was a first-class example there when Stevens broke through. He may have just been a shade unfortunate to be offside there.
Dalglish just flicking it on. Yes, they've shoved Gary Stevens into the midfield. Steve Perryman's at right back, and Mabbutt in the midfield as well for Hoddle. Houghton, and now it's with Galvin. MacDonald. Walk being roared on by the crowd, and the pass is a simple one there for Miller to get back. Now Rush. MacDonald intercepted by Houghton. And back it goes from Phil Neal to Bruce Grobbelaar. You may remember we were saying in the first half, an eagle-eyed viewer had said that he noticed that Phil Neal had got his shorts on the wrong way round. In fact, it wasn't superstitious, he tells us. He hadn't realised that he had, but if they win today, next round he'll have them the wrong way round once more. Roberts, very determined indeed. Phil Neal, playing it for Rush. Chiedozie, bit of space. It's a brilliant atmosphere here again at Anfield. Kennedy, I thought he'd played himself into a bit of trouble, but Alan Kennedy knew what he was about. It's a good, strong, arresting run here, but then it's cut out by Roberts, who can repeat the dose. He looked as though he was seeking out Falco, trying to get back into an onside position. Hence the ball comes through to Grobbelaar. Falco, Bruce Grobbelaar. By Whelan. Houghton's header for Tottenham, and now Falco. Mabbott. Houghton playing it long. Gillespie there with the header, and Mabbott returning it to Crooks. Little chest down there, but it fell conveniently for Nicol.
At the moment, Brian, since they've come out after the interval, the game's become that frantic that no one can seem to get the foot on the ball and get a regular sort of pattern to the game.
Now Rush. Walk was well offside at that point. Nicol. Roberts. Walk again, just dinking it through there for Steve Nicol. A little touch from MacDonald. Here's Phil Neal. Nicol again. MacDonald. And an offside, giving Tottenham the free kick. Taken by Miller. It's a good ball by Kennedy for Nicol, but he couldn't hold on to it, and there's Roberts finding Galvin. Houghton towards Crooks, won it well in the air. Falco, and now for Crooks, but the flag is up again. Certainly bad news for North London if Spurs do lose here after the disaster for Arsenal at York yesterday. And very good news for Merseyside, with Everton having won against Doncaster Rovers yesterday. No shove, says the referee, no penalty. A bit of a dive, he reckoned, by Rush. And now what are Spurs playing at? Back in the end, safely to Clements. Stevens. Nice turn, little pass there, well gathered up by Whelan. Played it through again, but once again Walk is offside. It's a curious old start to the second half of this, Ron.
Yeah, it's all a little bit of a mishmash. It's been played at a fierce tempo, and I'm just wondering at the moment, Brian, it's gone very, very cold here, and I'm just wondering whether the pitch is frozen up a little bit, because there seems to be an awful lot more of a bounce in the ball.
Roberts finding Perryman. Chidozie hunting this one. That'll be a corner off Alan Hansen. So Spurs bring forward reinforcements in the shape of Roberts, Stevens and Miller.
Yeah, they've got quite a good track record on corners, haven't they, this season, Spurs as well.
Well, Chidozie with this one for them, but that was a bad one. And not a particularly good clearance by Kennedy either. But here's a chance for Walk to break. Finding Rush, persuading Neal. Three red shirts are streaming forward, supported from behind now by Nicol. Played in the game for Kenny Dalglish too firmly. Still just this one goal in it though. Liverpool leading 1-0. 10 minutes of the second half gone. Kennedy, or rather MacDonald. Hansen.
I think he's had an absolutely magnificent game, Brian.
Hansen.
Magnificent game, yeah.
Well, here he is again on the ball. And a crash for Falco, and he's down.
That was one of the things that they levelled against Hansen, you know, over the years. Magnificent defender, magnificent player, but perhaps not hard enough. Certainly I noticed the difference this season when we played them, but he seemed a lot more resolute in his defensive work.
Well, Falco, the 20-goal man for Tottenham, in a bit of trouble there. Taken a smack in the face and a bit of blood, smack in the mouth by the look of it. And Ray Clements just keeping himself warm. What a record that is. It's, when you think of it, 36 years old and 793 games, 80 of them in the FA Cup. And it's interesting to think that although he's very much a Spurs player now, 28 FA Cup games for Spurs, almost double that amount for Liverpool. And that's, I hope Mrs. Clements gets plenty of cleaning materials available to keep all that silverware in the best possible nick. Well, in the midst of all that, Falco is okay to go on. Spurs have got the free kick, and Perryman might well be aiming in his direction, but it comes to Gary Stevens instead. Off him to Walk. Houghton. He's got Galvin outside him, but he may not require him. Now Mabbutt played in again there, but Gillespie's careful little header out of defence. But Perryman, Spurs with a chance now to keep the pressure on Liverpool. Chidozie, swift challenge that time by Kennedy, but Miller turning it in once more. Crooks, that time stopped once more by Hansen and played back by Nicol to Grobbelaar. And Falco with a fair amount of blood around his face. Miller's header. That's Galvin and Liverpool's throw. It's Rush. It's Dalglish. And it's Perryman. And it's a corner. Listen to the cough again, urging Liverpool to get the cushion of a second goal. And Roberts only just got a touch to that one. It will be Walk who turns it back. Crooks with a much more powerful header away. Gillespie. McDonald going after this one, and a throw to Liverpool. Good, fierce, competitive cup tie this one, and so little in it. Liverpool leading just by this solitary goal. Whelan playing it in. Rush. In the end, it was Falco who got his boot to it, and Liverpool again who get the throw. Kennedy forward, Rush is after it, but the flag again is up on the far side. Tottenham's free kick. Chidozie. It's a good cross there towards Crooks. Came and then went, and it was a little too far for Crooks, and Galvin couldn't keep it in. Liverpool get the throw. It wasn't a very good throw. It almost put Liverpool in trouble, and it gives Spurs possession in any case. It's with Garth Crooks, and then with Mabbutt. It came off McDonald. Can Galvin turn it back again? Prefers to seek the corner, which he gets.
Certainly at the moment it's Spurs making the game. I think they're pushing forward and trying to box Liverpool in. Liverpool at the moment haven't been able to settle into that nice passing rhythm they have.
Galvin's corner. Oh, that was a good fist away by Grobbelaar. Galvin again. Quarter of an hour of the second half gone. And it's a slightly more menacing spell this by Tottenham. And Perryman tutting. Oh, that was a nice piece of aid by Perryman, cutting out the dangerous move, and a nice little ball. Now setting up John Chidozie. A deep cross, good work by Grobbelaar and by Neil, and Spurs were almost in there. Brilliant piece of work by Chidozie and some fine work by Grobbelaar. Applause from Perryman as Chidozie made this break, sweeping outside Hansen. There's the cross. Grobbelaar just getting his hand to it, and Neil turning it away for the corner. So Spurs now seeking this equaliser as Galvin hits another long one there. Roberts with the header, and it came off Falco, or rather Miller, and behind for the goal kick. So Chidozie again showing that he might just open up the way.
Yes, I've said from the onset, I think their best threat is to get the two wide players behind the Liverpool back four. I think on 3 occasions today, Grover has made sort of last-ditch fingertip saves. Not so much saves as interceptions. He just saw an outstanding example there with the punch when he came for the corner and punched it.
Stevens. Perryman. Chidozie. There's Kennedy. But Perryman in as though his life depended on that. Stevens. Chidozie. Here comes Spurs again. It's McDonald who's backing off. He's got support from Kennedy. The ball coming off Hansen. It'll be another corner.
Well, certainly I think Alan Kennedy will feel he's had a very uncomfortable afternoon against this lad.
Taking it short this time for Perryman. What a battle Steve Perryman's putting up. A little flick on him there. And last-ditch clearance that time by Steve Nicol. Walk playing it on for Rush. And now the action will swing to the other end as the red skirts are now streaming forward. And here's Tenny Dalglish. McDonald calling for the ball, but Dalglish playing it in again towards Whelan. And a glancing header putting it behind for the goal kick. Now the pace and the skill has gone up a pace. And Spurs have a player injured.
Well, Miller's just taken a bang in with the walk. He's just had a bit of a collision in midfield with him. That's one of the problems, of course, Brown, when you're pushing forward in search of an equaliser, you always leave yourself open to being hit on the break. And nobody's better probably than Liverpool with Rush and Dalglish at exploiting them.
Yes, it was the clash with John Walk that suddenly set Liverpool on their way. But the referee's done well. He's kept the game moving well. I think Spurs might have that complaint about a possible penalty in the first half, but other than that, the referee's done well, and the Kop surely are enjoying themselves.
Yeah, it's quite possible that was too early, that decision, you know. It's possible if the same situation arose now at this stage of the game, it'd probably give Spurs a penalty for it.
Some crowd, just a few below 28,000, which I think you'll agree on such a dreadful day up here on Merseyside, with an absolute blizzard for some 3 hours before the game. That is a magnificent crowd. Knows that they need that second goal to breathe a little more freely. That Spurs in the last few minutes have had the initiative, but Kennedy planting it away. The flag is up for an offside against Ian Rush. You wouldn't put money on anybody at the moment, Ron, would you?
No, it's a good bit of pressure by Spurs. Having said that, of course, Liverpool are in the boss seat. One more goal will probably kill the game if they can get it.
John Pratt, former Tottenham player, now Peter Shreve's right-hand man there. Roberts plays a long ball forward. Hansen gets it, and now Grobbelaar gets it. And still 25 minutes are left. Back by Gary Stevens.
Stevens has dropped into the back four now in place of Miller. They look as if they just thrown Miller into a midfield blocking up position.
Whelan. That might come now for Dalglish, and again he's offside. Howls from the Liverpool fans on the far side, but the linesman, as he should be, perfectly placed. Up with the flag. Back comes Rush. Here comes Spurs as the ball goes back to Ray Clements. All the way through to Grobbelaar. Spurs so desperate for that equaliser. Liverpool equally anxious to get a second goal to give themselves a breathing space. They know Spurs are still very dangerous, and here's Ronnie Whelan. Phil Neal. Whelan playing it again for Nicol. Good looking cross coming in. Now Rush. Goal kick.
Ryan, that's got to be a hell of a blow for Tottenham at this stage. To lose Hoddle and to find that Miller now looks nothing more than a passenger. In fact, he's gone right up front now.
Gillespie wanting the ball to go for the corner, and then just kept it in play, didn't go for the throw. O'Connell just nodding it on. Stevens battling away. Whelan trying to pick his way past Mabbutt, but gets the free kick. Yes, it must have been that Paul Miller took a knock and in that clash with John Watt, presumably, and is now a front man. Stevens. Brooks. Tottenham's throw. Halfway through the second half now, and Liverpool leading by 1-0. Rush got his header in, so too did Dalglish. Roberts backpedaling quickly to Clements.
Looks very much as if Peter Shreves has just said to the lads at half-time, just go out and give it a real good thrash, and that's exactly what they've done. And Liverpool are looking a little bit shaky, to say the least, at the moment.
And here's Gillespie. And now here comes Nicol. Played by Steve Nicol. Neil. Nicol with the throw. Kenny Dalglish. And another Liverpool throw. Brooks. Out of play, another Liverpool throw. Dalglish flicking it on, can walk it in there. Rush is lurking as well. Nicol crossing it in once more towards Ian Rush and to Ronnie Whelan.
That was almost a carbon copy of the goal we saw him score at Nottingham Forest, wasn't it? Coming in on the blind side from a right wing cross.
Yes, it was Ronnie Whelan then. It was Ronnie Whelan now, but it's a goal kick this time. One in the air by Galvin. Now Crooks. Spurs still this goal behind. Houghton. Perryman. Chiedozie. Well stopped that time by Whelan. Good play by Whelan, finding Walk. And here's Ronnie Whelan again for Liverpool. He's got Rush outside him. Played in this time for Walk. Whelan backing up, and Roberts getting in two important challenges. Finding Chiedozie. Crooks. Cut out easily that time by Alan Hansen. Gathering pace. Finding Rush. And still the big defender goes on. Some game Alan Hansen's had, and the clock, I'm sure, will approve of it. There's Hansen again. I think the Tottenham fans sitting at home will be saying, well, what are they got to do now to get this equaliser on? I suppose the more they can feed Chiedozie might help.
I think so. I think that was the big thing. Most of their best movements have come when he's been involved.
But it's Whelan again at the moment for Liverpool. And now it's Hansen.
One thing they haven't been able to do, they've been a bit unfortunate when balls have been crossed, that Falco hasn't been in some of the situations that you've seen him in other games this season. I don't think he's had a header at goal yet, which is, for him, very, very strange.
Stevens with the back pass. Clements. Again Hansen there. Stevens. Chiedozie. Played into Crooks. Now Perryman. Chiedozie. Perryman. It's Neil's header, and won by Walk, which didn't gather a lot of ground. Might go anywhere here, and in the end, it's Whelan who gets it back to Grobbelaar. Neil now leading the next Liverpool assault. Neil again. McDonald.
I think Tottenham's best chance of getting an equaliser is to play the way they went just after half-time. It's to knock the ball up the field as far as they can. They're going to have to miss out midfield because they Stevens is in the back four now and Hoddle's off the field, so they might as well try and hit it onto the numbers they have up front.
So Gary Stevens going up into that Liverpool penalty area. Plenty of them up there as Perryman takes this kick. Roberts with that header, and Gillespie heeding the cries of Grobbelaar just behind him, I imagine, whacks the ball there into touch. I must say a faultless display by Bruce Grobbelaar so far this afternoon. Done really well.
Yes, I think Bruce has played very well. He had an early knock on his leg and it looks as if his kicking was going to be impaired, but certainly there's been nothing wrong with his handling and his comfort crosses. Yeah, he's played a major part in them having the lead at the moment.
Houghton with the throw for Tottenham. Good jump there by Nicol, but an unfair one apparently. 16 minutes are left. Falco's header. Chidozie. Liverpool 1-0, Ian Rush 17 minutes as you can see. Houghton. Nicol, offside by Walk. Roberts with the kick. Jump again by Hansen, finding John Walk. In turn, getting it away on this left flank to Ian Rush. Dalglish and Walker through the middle. Support here from Ronnie Whelan. Dalglish. Little float through, no problems there for Tottenham. Galvin. Spurs with 15 minutes left to save themselves. A nice little passing movement, bringing a profit now for Liverpool until Walk again, for the umpteenth time this afternoon, is caught offside. It's going to take a great effort by Tottenham and a lot of character, I think, to pull it round, with Hoddle off the field and with Paul Miller, virtually a passenger, now playing as a front man. And Liverpool looking again for this second goal. It's Rush. A little chip in there towards MacDonald, played again for Kenny Dalglish, and suddenly Crooks was in there. The feeling that Liverpool may have made a little more of that.
Yes, they've managed to kill the game down a little bit, stop Spurs' rush. I think a lot of that's due to Miller's injury. I just wondered for the last quarter of an hour or so whether Miller couldn't go back and just sit at the back and let Spurs get something like their normal attacking formation.
Nicol, MacDonald, that's a lovely ball for Gillespie, except that Roberts went storming in. And the Tottenham manager, Peter Shreves, now down from the director's box to the touchline to urge one last big effort from his men. About 12 minutes are left. Now Dalglish making a break. Stevens with him. Walk is coming up quickly from the back, so too is Whelan. That's the curling shot, but he didn't curl enough. indication of how Spurs realise that time is running out for them. Clements really ran away and put that ball down on the spot quickly enough to get the game in motion again. Noticeable that Steve Perryman ran to the touchline and obviously got a word or two from Peter Shreves. And the upshot of that is that John Chiedozie has gone almost into a central striking position. He's abandoned his position away on the right flank, and Chiedozie now has been pushed as a central attacker. You can see him now on the bottom left of your picture. Now, how do you interpret that one?
Not really quite sure whether it's just to try and accommodate Miller in some way, realising that he is having a lot of problems with his running, whether it's just to say, all right, at least if you stay out on the right wing, you're an out-and-out passenger there.
You're quite right. Miller's coming out onto the right. Free kick to Tottenham. 11 minutes left. And Miller really struggling, number 5. Playing now as an emergency outside right. Remember, they've already made their substitution with Mabbutt on for Hoddle. Here's Kennedy. Well stopped by Mabbutt, but it might come for Ronnie Whelan. No, it's a throw instead. Now Rush. Good control and terrier-like tackling again from Steve Perryman. So it's another corner for Liverpool. Kennedy and Clements. That's a good throw. At least it might be. We've gathered that little bit of pace when the idea was so good to release Crooks down that left side. Walk. There's Galvin going in there. Garth Crooks again. Free kick to Tottenham. Wind is bitterly cold, but I hope the game is keeping everybody warm here and at home, with Liverpool leading a 1-0 with 10 minutes left of this cup tie. Liverpool leading Spurs 1-0. Stevens. There's Chiedozie on that far side now. But Whelan quick to react, finds Phil Neal. But Spurs get possession again with Perryman. You're just a goal down. No matter how much the odds seem to be stacked against you, you're always in with a chance. Hansen back to Grobbelaar.
At the moment, the Spurs problem, Brian, is that nobody seems to quite know where they're playing. Sometimes Falco's back in midfield, sometimes Galvin and Crooks are in midfield, and at the moment they've lost a lot of that formation.
Well, here's Dalglish. No, stopped by Gary Stevens. For Tottenham. It's a corner. Dalglish will take it. Hit in low this time. Nicol. It was Crooks who got it away. Kennedy, who will look to maybe turn it back in, although he may be tempted to play a short ball to Dalglish, who's just behind him and who's not moved. There it is. Now, can Kenny Dalglish get it in by the byline? Kennedy, more space for him this time. A little jink. It wasn't very profitable, and then he just throws himself at Galvin and concedes a free kick.
I think it's a bit double-edged as well with Chiedozie moving off the flank. It's enabled Kennedy to go forward with a little bit more freedom now. I mean, I bet he's welcomed the move.
Good point. Chiedozie, in fact, away on the left-hand side at the moment. And Roberts has now gone forward. They've taken all the risks possible now, Tottenham, by... Well, Miller they've got to have forward because he's obviously not 100%. but Roberts also, leaving just Houghton at the back along with Perryman and with Gary Stevens here. Now Stevens. Well, there are enough white shirts forward. Galvin's one of them, and that's always dangerous when he's away down the flank. And the cross is in, Gillespie away to Neil. And Mavitt got the better of him. Here's Roberts. And Whelan got the better of him, and a Tottenham throw. It's a bit frenetic out there in point of fact. Spurs so anxious now in the little time that's left, a little over 5 minutes to get this equaliser. Oh, no, they come for Dalglish, thank you, he says. And walks through the middle as well, but the pass wasn't measured quite finely enough. Long clearance by Clements. Donald that well. Miller trying for all he's worth to get the ball back in there again, but Stevie Nicol getting it clear for Liverpool. Houghton. It's a jump and a good one by Hansen. Now Roberts finding Perryman, or at least Perryman saying to Chidozie, all right, you have it, and cross it in. Crooks is there again for Tottenham. Back for Roberts. Galvin in a bit of space on the far side. Neil closing quickly. They could still pose quite a threat, Tottenham, here, without any doubt at all. Mavitt. Crossed in once more. Crooks. Hansen. Finding Rush. Dalglish is lurking. Here's Ronnie Whelan. Played for Walk. Oh, Hansen of all people on that right-hand side. A deep cross towards Kenny Dalglish, nodded in, and Kennedy was in there too. Perryman stopped well by Whelan. Now this could be trouble for Tottenham. The cross is in there. Rush miskicked. That's a collector's item. A real dead-eyed Dick to miss kick in that fashion in front of goal. Left. Liverpool leading 1-0. Perryman. Hansen. And now Kennedy. Getting reminded of one of Brian Clough's favourite remarks, it only takes a second to score a goal. Well, Spurs will hope that that second arrives very shortly now. Perryman keeping it in. Gillespie up well. Could Mavitt turn it back? And now it's with Galvin. Well, he scored one against Charlton, but that's cracked against John Walk. Here's Houghton taking up the challenge again. Put it through, and Grobbelaar will get there before Garth Brooks. Exactly 3 minutes left now. Long ball from Phil Neal, and Kenny Dalglish! Number 2! No! Yes, it's there. I thought for a moment it had been disallowed. Has it been disallowed? It has. The flag was down, and Kenny's shot right at the end is disallowed.
I can't think it was offside. I don't know if he fouled Stevens here, did he? Did he foul him? He may have given first push at the back, but he certainly didn't look to foul Stevens. He didn't look to be offside.
Well, a little mystery there, but it remains 1-0, and Spurs then still have a finger hold on the game. Galvin. And right across that Liverpool goal, and that could so easily have just been tapped in.
certainly the lad Galvin has battled for all he's worth today, and that was an example of it.
Abbott couldn't quite reach it. Galvin looking to turn it back once more. There could be problems here for Liverpool. Dalglish only half getting it away. Rush just nipping it away from Roberts. Dalglish in some space on this side. And here comes Grobbelaar out. The flag was up in any case. Dalglish. Rush. And Clements down. Away by Hansen. And Stevens. And 30 seconds are left. Hansen away. Dalglish. A little touch there. And now Dalglish is on his way. And walk to... Oh my word, no. We're now in injury time. And Liverpool are almost there. The whistles go up from the Kop. And they want to see Liverpool in the 5th round. Hansen, who's had a magnificent game, but the referee pulls him back and wants a word with Falco and gives Liverpool the free kick.
We just had a situation there. John Walkes waited all afternoon. He's been frustrated. He's run offside. All of a sudden, last minute of the game virtually, finds himself in his favourite position, and he goes and makes a mess of it.
Free kick to Liverpool. We're now playing time added on. Towards Walk on the far side, how well he got up. Roberts battling with Dalglish. And the final whistle. And that long old hoodoo remains here for Tottenham. Liverpool go through to the 5th round of the Cup. Scenes of great joy here on the Kop and on the field for the men in red. Well, a magnificent cup tie and a disappointment for Peter Shreves and for Tottenham. Victory then for Liverpool, and after the break we shall get the views of Ian St John and Jimmy Greaves.
The Liverpool fans still celebrating below us. We're going to go to the dressing room area where the match winner, Ian Rush, is talking now to Martin Tyler.
I've got Ian and I've got Bruce Grobbelaar with me, Jim, as well. Ian, first of all, 17th minute, the goal. It seems a long time ago now, but what do you remember about it?
I don't remember. I think there's a cross, someone put a cross in. I think Graham Roberts tried to control it and miscontrolled it. It just come to me, and I think I hit a bit too far. Then Clem, I didn't know whether Clem knew whether he's going to come out or what, but I just managed to get the ball before Clem and just went in the back of the net.
And you've got this tremendous record that whenever you score, Liverpool have never lost a game.
Yeah, we're doing quite well. I think Bruce, he made some great saves, so we kept going. I think this...
We can actually show you the goal now, Ian.
Yeah, I think Graham tried to control it there. He didn't know what to do. And I think Ronnie Whelan done well there, and I just managed to pinch it from Graham.
1-on-1 now against Clem.
Yeah, and just come in. I just got it before Clem and ball went in the back of the net.
Nearly said, didn't it?
A few years ago, you'd have saved it.
Do you think he should have saved it, Bruce?
No, I don't know. It was a 50-50, and Rushie's got some speed on him, and Ray, he didn't read it right away. And Rushie did very well to chip it over them.
They came strongly, despite all their injuries, Tottenham, right at the end. Was it a bit alarming in your penalty area?
Well, they did that in the the Cup in Europe last season, and when they pushed Roberts forward, and when they did that, then they're going to be a formidable task. But other than that, I don't remember much.
There was one tremendous save from John Chidozie, which we can show to you now.
I don't remember much about that. I think Bally gave him a lot of room there, and he did well because he came and closed down on the edge of the box. Oh, it wasn't Bally. Look at him.
It's jockey. Yeah, but
there was a little bit of a deflection there.
It,
I thought it should have held it. Really.
Should have held it.
Yes. I had those nice gloves. I had Teflon non-stick.
Again, a final word, lads. Now you're through. Liverpool for the cup this year?
No, as long as we're happy to get home draw, and if we get a home draw, we think that we've got a chance of beating anyone. But I think you need a bit of luck, and if we get the luck, you never know.
Everton in the next round, Bruce?
Well, if Everton are drawn in the next round, it's only another game, and we just have to persevere with that one.
Chaps, thanks very much indeed. Now back to Jim.
A lot of confidence down there. Ian, do you think Liverpool worthy winners in the end?
I enjoyed the game, Jimmy, I must say, and I think, yeah, Liverpool probably deserved it. Jim, would you agree?
Yeah, just. I thought Tottenham played very well, actually. They gave a good account of themselves when you consider the problems that they've always got coming up here. But it was a good game.
The jinx prevails.
The jinx stays with us.
I think, Jimmy, one point you want to make, John Chidozie got a lot of the ball, perhaps didn't use it to the best advantage.
No, not necessarily. He didn't, actually. One's got to be fair about it. In the second half, he was given every opportunity. He was beating Barney Kennedy down the line a lot. Didn't really do what he should have done, what a good winger should do with it, which is pick out people to make goal-scoring opportunities with. Would you agree with that, Saint?
Yes, I would agree with that, but I would say this, that the Spurs strikers, Parker and Crooks, came up against the Liverpool centre-backs today who were fantastic. I thought both of them, Gillespie and Hansen, were magnificent in the front there, and because you can't really, looking back on a game, say that Spurs had a lot of chances, did they? They didn't have many clear-cut chances.
No, well, this was the point. I think they could have created more down the flanks, probably, but they didn't. But it was a great cut tie.
And the longer the game went on, the more Liverpool looked threatening. And really John Watt should have scored.
Yeah, but that was always going to happen, Ian, because Tottenham were going to push people forward. I mean, Graham Roberts is always likely to get them out of trouble. He didn't today, but there you are.
Yeah. Jimmy, Ian, thank you very much indeed. Well, great credit to everybody here on Merseyside for putting this game on at all. I suppose we look down and say it's been a bad weekend for London, North London in particular. Arsenal and Spurs both go out. Everton and Liverpool both go into the draw for tomorrow's 5th round. And thanks really to the man who the Italians want to pay £3 million for once for.
Of the current champion.